Okay, imagine an AI that doesn't just run one single isolated experiment, but actually manages an entire laboratory. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring a completely fascinating case study that fundamentally shifts how we think about artificial intelligence in scientific research. We're diving into a groundbreaking framework called AutoScientists, developed by researchers Xianghua Gao, Ada Feng, and Marinka Zitnik. Normally, if you give an AI an open-ended, long-running scientific problem, well, it fails. It just does. But this new framework introduces self-organizing teams of agents to tackle massive computational experiments, and it is an absolute game changer.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the single agent bottleneck. Second, the AutoScientists research cycle. Third, team dynamics. Fourth, GPT model training. Fifth, protein engineering breakthroughs. And finally, the future of autonomous science.
Section 1. The single agent bottleneck. So what happens when an AI scientist gets stuck? It's a crucial question, right? Because existing AI approaches typically follow a single, lonely research trajectory, or they rely on this highly rigid central planner that just delegates tasks based on fixed objectives. Think of that central planner like an extreme micromanager who just flat out refuses to pivot when a project goes off the rails. When scientific evidence inevitably changes during an experiment, the micromanager freezes. If that single agent hits a dead end, the entire experiment just stalls out completely. Single-agent systems are kind of like a lone robot stuck in a maze. They totally struggle to sustain parallel exploration, and honestly, worse than that, they lose track of their failed directions over long periods. Basically, they end up endlessly repeating their own mistakes. But the AutoScientist framework, it solves this by acting way more like a highly coordinated construction crew. It relies on a decentralized team that dynamically adapts as new experimental evidence comes to light. Section 2. The AutoScientists research cycle. The AI team navigates this really specific four-step iterative cycle. Step 1, hypothesis generation. Step 2, experiment design. Step 3, execution. And Step 4, revision. They look at the current data to generate a hypothesis, design the experiment to test it, execute the code, and then, this is absolutely crucial, they revise their understanding based on those results. Then, they loop right back to Step 1. This is literally what human scientists do, but the breakthrough here is that this cycle is running fully autonomously for incredibly long-running computational experiments. Section 3. Self-organizing team dynamics. This brings us to the core innovation, decentralized coordination. This is a system where agents interpret a shared experimental state and self-organize without relying on fixed objectives from a central planner. Instead of a top-down manager barking orders, individual agents independently look at the shared data and they naturally self-organize into specialized teams around the most promising hypotheses. It's like a digital hive mind. Honestly, they self-organize much more like a jazz band improvising together, rather than a rigid orchestra waiting for a conductor to point at them. Now, a truly fascinating feature here is how they handle computing costs. Computational power is expensive, right? So to preserve their experimental compute budgets, this AI team actually critiques each other's proposals to weed out bad ideas before spending any compute power. They interpret a shared experimental state, self-organize into teams, critique proposals before executing them, and constantly share successes and failures. This feedback loop severely minimizes redundant, wasteful exploration. Section 4. Accelerating GPT model training. Let's look at the actual data to see these team dynamics in action. The results are striking. AutoScientists reached a target validation bits per byte, which, by the way, is really just a fancy way of measuring how efficiently an AI accurately predicts text, 1.9 times faster than auto research, which is a standard single-agent approach. By running parallel, self-organizing experiments, they essentially cut the required discovery time in half. No way around it. That is massive. One tasked with improving a starting champion model, meaning a model that is already highly optimized and incredibly difficult to improve upon. The lonely single-agent approach hit an absolute wall. It found 0 accepted improvements. Nothing. But the AutoScientists' decentralized team, constantly critiquing and iterating together, they discovered 7 accepted improvements. 7. They broke right through a ceiling that the single agent simply couldn't bypass.
Section 5. Breakthroughs in protein engineering.
Okay, it's one thing to optimize computer code. It's a whole other beast to navigate the chaotic, complex biology of drug discovery. To test this, researchers unleashed the framework on BioML Bench. Across 24 massive biomedical tasks, the AutoScientists achieved a 74.4% mean leaderboard percentile. That means this decentralized framework beat the strongest individual AI agents by over 8%. And why does this matter to us? Because in the real world, an 8% leap in biomedical tasks could mean literally shaving years off developing a new life-saving therapeutic drug.
Looking closer at a specific domain, like protein gym fitness prediction, the AI team was tasked with analyzing ACE2 spike binding. Fun fact, that is the exact mechanism viruses like COVID use to enter human cells. Through their self-organizing research cycle, they discovered a brand new analytical method that improved the Spearman correlation, a key metric of predictive accuracy, by 12.5% over the current state-of-the-art model. And to prove this wasn't just some lucky fluke isolated to one specific protein, the researchers took that exact newly discovered method and applied it across all 217 different protein assays in Protein Gem. Without a single modification, the method elevated performance by an average of 6.5% across the board. The virtual team didn't just win a benchmark here, they engineered a fundamentally better scientific tool.
Section 6. The Future of Autonomous Science. We've seen how moving from a single trajectory to a collaborative, decentralized hive mind drastically shifts what AI can accomplish in a computational laboratory setting. It's a massive leap from basic automation to actual autonomous scientific discovery. By simply changing how agents communicate and self-organize around shared experimental states, we completely eliminate the bottlenecks of rigid central planners. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. If virtual agents can team up to out-research their predecessors today, what impossible problems will they solve tomorrow? Thanks for joining me for this explainer on the incredible AutoScientist framework. Keep questioning and keep learning.